Warning, Pacific pressure rising, evacuation zones begin. We're going to show you where the current evacuation zones are. You can see right now, abc.net recently, evacuation plans are crucial in the Pacific. Disaster preparedness and not having them can create problems even before an event. Now we're making this about awareness today so that you can see all the coming zones, what to watch for, the timing, and specific situations that are going to be taking place. That's not the only agency that said that, and it looks like it's starting off with areas of islands close to the Pacific. Just today on CCTV footage, this happened in Myanmar. So yes, Myanmar is on a fault next to India, which that connects to the Himalayas, which the Himalayas has a crack in the fault, which geologists are saying that a great separation could happen. And it's Pacific specifically, they're even giving out visas now for people on the islands to leave these locations. Now, you probably want to know what's happening in the United States. We'll get to some of that information as well. But this came right after nature.com talked about slab detachment zones. And what they said was that it was a uplift that was happening slowly along the Pacific subduction zones, where this appeared to have enhanced compression on the tectonic along the southern zones with minor uplift. Now, these regions where this is happening at currently right now, we're going to get into a little bit more details. Earlier in the day, Russia did have a strike off of the coast. The U.S. Geological Survey said they canceled the alert, because at first it was an alert about a tsunami warning, but that was just canceled. We'll show a little clip of that. We're going through it. Definitely a quickening phase. And how do you feel? Like, it just seems that things are changing on a daily. I mean, we're all riding this thing out. Whatever God's will is, all we can do is go along with the situation at hand. But how to get prepared? What are they preparing for? They're looking at certain things collapsing. I'm seeing all this information here. Britannica right here put out the upwelling of magma continues. The plates continue to diverge, a process known as seafloor spreading. Samples collected from the ocean floor show the age of the oceanic crust increases with distance from the spreading center. Important evidence in favor of this process. The age data allow the rate of seafloor spreading, can't say the word, spreading, to determine. And they show the rates vary from about 0.1 centimeters. So they're saying that it's spreading off in the Pacific, which makes sense why we're having these emergency plans that are now being activated. So I want to read to you some of the emergency plans, and a lot of people are not talking about this. So look at this right here on screen. Tavula residents prepare for world's first planned migration of entire nation, and climate change is to blame, live science said. A first of its kind lottery to residents of Tuvalu who went to move from Australia due to climate change threats is closing today with more than 5,000 applications received. And now, if you want to know where Tuvalu is right along the Pacific Ocean, technically right where the Ring of Fire is, right exactly in that location. This is an evac plan. And I was telling y'all years ago that on my other channel, I said this was going to be a plan where they're going to evacuate peoples, and eventually it's going to be to smart islands. Escape to Australia. Tuvaluans pin hopes on world's first climate visa. So yeah, this is a real deal. It's happening right now. And let's read a little bit more of the situation. More than 5,000 people have applied for the first of its kind migration visa that offers residents of a Pacific island an escape from the worst effects of what they call climate change, but we call it a earth shift, a shift that is happening right now, a shift in the ring of fire, a shift in everything that we know of. Now, let's read you a little bit more here because this is a plan for a lot of the coastal flooding from Cascadia earthquake driven land subsidence. So, again, these are going to drive a lot of the situation. So, the flooding, yes, is being correlated with the earthquake events. You see that through the data we just mentioned here. Now, moving a little bit further here into the situation, who else is preparing outside of just that one Pacific island? It's another Pacific island, multiple ones. I read this to you, but I didn't read the full details. ABC.net. They're getting ready for evacuation plans, preparedness for the Pacific. Read right here on screen. We put the spotlight on evacuations in Samoa. We hear now not having an evacuation plan can have severe consequences on mental health. Also, a coastal Fijian village that is slowly relocating inland to avoid rising sea levels, and they're planning for new evacuation center fit for the community. The rising sea level whole drama really speaks to the volumes of the uplift in the sea zones that we just mentioned here. We can put that map on screen, which Britannica puts out about certain zones that were already having uplift, that we're constantly seeing more uplift continue to emerge. If you're here right now and you're allowing me to subscribe, you just came across the channel because we're going to be covering more of these updates and all the situations that is emerging that a lot of people are not paying attention to. What are they preparing for, though, on a deeper level? We got some more information on another island around the Pacific. Every last one of them, we noticed a pattern that is in the Pacific because of the Ring of Fire uptick. Now, what have they said in America? Let's go to that really quick. Warning as underwater volcano off U.S. West Coast is being rocked with earthquakes. They say 300, but technically it's like a couple of them per day. They also give out a date here. So they start to get into dates saying that the evacuation plan for that will be along a specific timeline, which we're going to give you here in just a second. William Wilcox, professor of oceanographic at the University of Washington, said if this was a volcano in places where people live, they would be evacuated. And so this just came out days ago. It says the underwater or the uncertainty means that the volcano, by all appearances, may erupt any day now, but researchers believe it's likelier the eruption will come by July 2026 or late May 2027. So that means that if you can, you got time, maybe plan, prepare for that situation, get your details together, figure out. And I mean, a while ago, this is just my account. I had a dream about a tsunami hitting the coastlines of Mississippi. And then my parents, I told mom about it. She confirmed seeing the great flooding happening too. And it's not just that, oh, so what? What does that mean? Well, we went through multiple phases of dreams and actually seen some of these things play out. So we just linked that together. I'm not just saying I had like 4 family members who came out and said the same thing. They're like, yeah, we've seen that too. So I was like, that's probably not going to be a safe place in the future from all the different developments. And that was just my personal account and story. Now let's get back to the information at hand. What would that area of evacuation look like if that axial seamount you can see along Washington, Oregon, California situations? These are the places we would be potentially looking at. Now, the evacuation islands that are happening along the Pacific, they're getting really serious. They're ramping up their efforts here. Here's another effort, though, that you need to listen to that really talks about the major situation at hand. Okay, a major earthquake with critical underground infrastructure collapse was the scenario for our Northern Urban Search Rescue team in a recent exercise. They did this for 24 hours, this operation. I'm going to show you some images of what it looked like. They were going underground with these collapsing scenarios. I'll show you some more images here in a few. Let's read, though. Conducted by the Northern USAR team at Tamaki Leadership Center. TLC, Army Bay, a New Zealand Defense Force training site. This is in the Pacific once again. The full-scale exercise simulated a major earthquake affecting underground train tunnel networks, providing challenging and realistic environment for participants. Acting Deputy Team Leader for Northern USAR, Steve Robinson, said approximately 50 USAR personnel participated including squad members, engineers, medics, support staff working in shifts across a full 19 operational cycle. The exercise simulated seismic event approximately 10 kilometers offshore to the northwest of the Wangapora Peninsula. The quake recorded a 7.2 with shallow depth intense, including ground shaking through the peninsula surrounding areas. Immediate reports of GeoNet and civil defense identified widespread structural damages, landslides, and utility outages. So, yes, in these events, securing these utilities, knowing how, like, okay, I'm going to be able to navigate this power, not going to be a scenario as well. We got to look at all these things here at hand. Some people say, oh, psychology operations. Some people say psychological operations. But at the end of the day, the earth is in its own shift now. And guess what? I know a lot of you don't want to believe it, but some of this is literally out of the government's hands. All they can do is prepare. They cannot control this cycle, because the cycle you can look up in research is called the fourth turning. This is the season when people mainly distrust governments over historical research from the psychology of where the world goes. The volcanoes start to amp up, the spiritual sense starts to amp up, the distrust in government amps up, and everything all shifts pretty much around the same time. You see the sun doing the exact same thing. This is all signs of just multiple things happening that they cannot control. Let's read a little bit more of this information. And yes, I'm not saying in some way they want to exacerbate the situation. I do believe in some ways they want to exacerbate the situation, but I don't believe 100% that is the full scale thing that they can do. Most critical and complex impact was the subsurface commuter train tunnel system. Army, and it says which Army Bay in the east central extends to the west Silverdale, where existing military base tunnels were transformed to create a subway train. So underground, they want to transform these military bases for underground stations. And this is in New Zealand here. Actually, a lot of the basically rich elite live over there too in New Zealand. You got, I believe, Zuckerberg with some places over there. A lot of them have places over there, which they were preparing for these events and try to get all these nice places. But it's like the tsunami basically could hit them as well in these locations. And actually, I studied this a couple years back, more than 5 or 6 years. And I was like, wow, that same community they're going to looks like it could be struck. Let's go a little bit deeper here into the situations here at hand. They had Ocean X. Ocean X went off and went to an underwater area. And I'm going to show this expedition here on screen. Here's Ocean X. They went to an underwater area. So these are companies that go under the Pacific Ocean, where close to Indonesia area it was at. They find this mountain underwater, another sea mount, which they believe was not producing hot water. It was producing some type of cold, nutrient-rich water from the depths of it when they went underground. Again, a lot of these are producing heat. So to find one that's a mountain producing cold is interesting. They do show some holes. Indonesia is in the Pacific as well. It's kind of like right there along the lower portion off by New Zealand and the other areas. So these are all the Pacific areas. You can see there's a hole in the ground that they're scanning with all this situation here. And here's another thing. Let's go into the important details here that is being missed as well. We'll put this up on screen. And this scientist captured slow motion earthquake in action. This was at University of Texas, Austin. And this was one of those earthquakes where we'll go back here. And this was the slow rip zip one. This was the one next to the Nakai Tro. And this is next to the Pacific Plate. This also has to do with some of the situations going on. This is the one right next to Japan, connected to the Ring of Fire. And this is the one the U.S. military on starsandstripes.com was preparing for. So they've been seeing this slow rip happening over the course of years, and it's continuing to slip. And this is why it's such a major thing along this Pacific Plate where the evacuation zones are going. And somebody see under the sea. You know what? They said that once the Indian or not Indian, excuse me, Africa, once it splits, which is technically already done, there's a big crack in there. They said we're going to have a brand new ocean they're going to have to name. So, but they believe we won't be alive to see it. Who knows if we're alive to see it or not? But if we are alive to see it, they're going to have these ocean names pop up, and it is inner oceans inside the earth. Geologists have already been talking about that. We could see so many shifts happen. We could see oceans from within open up. And you know, the crazy thing about that is this could be a potential purification process. All the tampering they done with the ocean, with the seas, everything that's going on. If the ocean open up from within, it could literally start purifying out everything. That's what I believe. I'm not 100% sure if that could happen, but I'm saying that all these different effects that has happened, all the fracking, they got a lab too where they simulate this stuff. I meant to show that on screen. So I'm gonna show that really quick because they went to the San Andreas, geologists went to the San Andreas fault. And so what they do is they go to these labs and they'll create tremors. So here it is on screen. You can see that right there. Scientists isolate early warning tremor pattern in lab-made earthquakes. So am I saying that they don't have any type of way to go and then go into these laboratories and try to work these things out and make situations exacerbated? No, I never said that. So they did recently go USU facility mentor rock deformation earthquake mechanics lab doctoral student Alex DeMonte prepares materials sample from San Andreas fault for analysis. They just recently went to San Andreas fault. They went to go get an analysis. And to confirm what I'm saying is true, I'll take you to the site right now. I'm pulling it all up while you're listening. So here it is right here. You can see it on screen. Hold up. Give me just a second. I'm still pulling it up because everything in this stream seems like it's starting to slow down. There it is. Waiting for the big one. USU geologist studies frictional behavior at San Andreas fault. Doctor, scholar Alex DeMonte with faculty members Alex Alt. So they went there. They took some soil and they're going to a lab to go simulate the conditions of what will happen in the San Andreas fault. So yes, they simulate conditions in these situations. Somebody says, never appreciated my ancestors so much. For real, these people who are running the world right now know absolutely jack squat about how to keep environments up. Japan opening back up Fukushima, radioactive water, all just dumping it each year after year in the ocean lines. So terrible. And I thought about going to Japan and everything else, and I'm like, you know what? I can't respect it if you're just going to keep dumping toxic stuff into the ocean. I don't get it. You know, it doesn't make sense. You can't be 100% there if you can't maintain environments like that. It's kind of a simple concept. But then you start to think, well, if they can't maintain environments, but they tell us to keep maintaining environments, what is the real ultimate goal? And that's what it comes down to at the end of all this. What is the ultimate goal? What is the ultimate plan? But more importantly, they did that really sounds pretty weird off the coast of Massachusetts, another area. They want to remove the buoys. And the lawmakers are filing bills right now to stop the removal of navigational buoys in the Northeast. This is July 16, 2025. Local news of 12 Ocean Bay, they put this out. So you want to remove the buoys at this time? It doesn't, to me, it's just read a little bit of this. So this was the Coast Guard too, but identify for removal in phase 1 of the USGS's plan. So we got the USGS making this a plan. The USGS proposal reflects a shift towards using more modernized navigation systems like GPS. Oh, like that can't go out. It's electronic. Electronic charts that can go out too. Smartphone apps that can go out too. And fewer physical markers. The overall goal and proposal, according to Coast Guard, is to make the boating safer and more efficient since buoys removed are considered either non-essential or non-in-use. If you're right now live, do you think we really need to get rid of buoys? Do you think we need to go all the way electronic and use modern systems? Give me a yes, give me a no. Does this sound like a huge set up? Because that's been something I've seen since I've been alive. Why would we remove that right now? It just doesn't really add up to really equating to full scale care about the population in my eyes. Now, these islands that are being evacuated, we're going to continue to monitor the situation. You need to subscribe right now to get more information about everything that is breaking down. Literally, the plates breaking down. We're going to be covering every aspect of it. Oh, and here's the thing, the survival map. So global earthquake and flood escape zones and survival maps revealed. And if you look right now in the chat section and click that link, click it. And I'll put it here on the left-hand side. I got all the detailed survival zone areas I've been mapping out the last course of weeks. Do not let them hide that scenario. You're going to get so much value from it.